So why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
So I'm Joanna. I'm an attorney based out of New York City.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And then if you were to describe
Right.
your style before style in one word, and then your
And then
after working with this style in another word, what would those two words be?
so I would before I would say my style was fragmented. Um, if I looked at my closet, it was kind of just bits and pieces from different years of my life. So like some from like my early 20s, some from mid, some from late, and nothing flowed together. And afterwards, I would say it reflected who I was. Everything reflected who I was, who else I was at the time.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And I will never forget, Joanna, when we had our first conversation because you had never worked with the stylist. So you were a little nervous making the investment.
Right.
We had the conversation, and then I got an email from you. I think it was like the next day. Can you tell everyone the story about when you saw the partner at the airport and you emailed me?
Yeah, it was like the timing was so funny because it was, I think, yeah, the next day. So I that year or within the year I'd started a new career in New York as an attorney, and I was going to Boston to do some recruiting. So I was flying from New York to Boston in the evening, and I remember I worked from home, and I I was going to wear like I didn't want to wear like work clothes. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be comfortable on the plane. I'm just gonna wear something comfortable. And to me, comfortable was athleisure, right? That's I went to school in California. That's what everyone wore in California. That's what we all did in school. So I was waiting at the so we had deboard. So we were in Boston. We had deplaned. Um, and or no, I think it was. Oh, I think we were waiting to board. We were waiting to board in New York, and I saw a very, very, very senior female partner, and she was in a gorgeous red power suit, and I was like, it just clicked. And I realized this is exactly what Cass was talking about. This is, what image do you want to put forward? And it just hit me. And I said, I really need to do this. And I think I called you, or I think I emailed you when I got off the plane. I saw her waiting to board, and I was embarrassed because I knew she knew who I was because we had met earlier, I think in the week. And I hid behind one of those like big pillars at the
Oh,
gate. I was terrified. And I realized I was like, just because I'm out of the office, it doesn't mean that that I'm off the clock, if that makes sense, right? Especially if you're on your way to a work event. And she was on her way to Boston as well. So
mhm.
yeah, that was definitely my aha moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll never forget when you emailed me and I was like, "Oh, what good timing," as well, because you had just moved to New York and were starting your career. So can you tell me, like, when you think back on your before style, what was probably like your biggest challenge that was a thorn in your side that you kept facing?
So I would shop haphazardly. And I would see something, and I in my head I'm like, oh, I know exactly what outfit I would wear this with. But I don't have that outfit. And it wasn't something I owned. So what would happen inevitably was it would hang in my closet, sometimes with tags on, and I would never wear it. And I wouldn't, and then of course I felt like I had nothing to wear. So
Yeah.
that's something I remember always feeling. And I would and it just felt like I always needed this one piece that would make, I don't know, that would make my closet. And I didn't have any of those in between pieces. And that's something that we talked about when we did my closet edit.
Yep.
And it just kind of, it ended up being extremes. I had extremely casual clothes, which is great when I
Yep.
wanted to work out, or
Mhm.
work clothes. like suits, because that's what we wore at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Joanna had signed up back in 2019, which was like a year after Next Level Wardrobe started. We worked together in that year in person in New York. And I'll never forget when I took you to Sui Studio, which no longer exists, and you put on these gorgeous suits. And do you still have them today?
Love them.
And do you still wear them and love them?
Yeah, wear them. I'm now in a less formal environment, but whenever we go to conferences, I wear them, and they still fit great.
Amazing.
And they don't seem dated. Like, it's great.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And then so it's been a while since the Next Level Wardrobe Style System was implemented for you. Now that it's been years later, can you speak about how you feel about your wardrobe and your style now? What are kind of two big benefits of having a system?
Well, I shop less. I spend less time shopping. I used to think growing up, this is so embarrassing, but when I would see, like, where people would ask, "Oh, what's your hobby?" And I'm like, "I think shopping." But now that I don't feel the need to shop anymore. And don't get me wrong, I love shopping. I love clothes, but I don't feel like anything is missing.
Yep.
And I'm much better at identifying what I need and identifying what I like and what works for me. It just takes the guesswork out of it. I'm no longer scrolling. If I need something, or if I happen to see something, I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually need that. And then if I like it, I get it.
Yeah.
So it saved me a lot of time, and it's given me time back in my life.
And do you feel like a smarter consumer, like a more smarter consumer now
Oh,
because of
yeah. Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that really stood out to me when each of the times we worked together, actually,
that?
but especially the first time, uh, because I felt like I was getting an education along the way. It wasn't right. It was wonderful having, a large fitting room of different items to try on, but you would explain, okay, well, I picked this because of X, and see
Mhm.
how this hits at your wrist bone, and see how this tapers. So there's reasoning behind, the behind the fit, right? And that's one of the other things that I really liked about working with you in the beginning, or I think you still do this now, but you would do fit celebrities,
Yeah.
and it was very it would it was very, like, you would say, oh, see how the pant hits here, see how you have other tighter bottoms, or vice versa. So it I learned along the way, and I felt like I could integrate that now on my own. But of course, that takes time. So I opted to work again with you a couple times afterwards, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I know it's been a couple times already. And you've had, since I met you in 2019, you've had so many phases of life too, right? That have happened. And so has the system been there for you throughout all those phases? And if you don't mind, can you share what the phases have been too?
Yeah, no, of course. So we met in 2019. Since then, I've changed jobs. I'm in a less formal environment now. I'm married. I had a baby, and the system still works for me. Even when I was pregnant, I would use the system in terms of what I bought, in terms of coloring. And yeah, it's been it. I've been able to adapt
Yeah.
it to my life and my life circumstances.
Yeah, incredible, incredible. And then for all the people here who have never worked with a stylist, who feel nervous about it, what would you tell them?
I never worked with a stylist either, including subscription boxes. I think I decided to make the jump to work with a one-on-one personal stylist. Well, number one, I remember that you don't make commission. So I really appreciated that. I felt like I would get, the just a straightforward, very personalized experience. And I would say it's one of the best investments I've made. Like I said, it's brought me back time, me money, because I would spend I would spend so much and not wear clothes, and I've also I I buy more quality pieces, but it's fewer. So on the aggregate, it's actually less.
Yep.
So I mean I can't I can't endorse it enough. It was a really great decision.
Yeah, yeah, and it
And
was
I
so
wanted
fun to work with you.
likewise.